What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the TCG Empire YouTube channel. Today we are taking a look at the first place list from Toronto Regionals. This is going to be JW's Miraidon list. So as you guys know by now, Miraidon has been a super popular and powerful deck within the meta. The aspect of it sets up fast, deals big damage. Doesn't matter if you go first or second. If you go first, you get extra leeway for setup. If you go second, you can deal big damage. And it's all because of this card, Miraidon EX. So Miraidon EX has the Tandem Unit Ability. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for up to 2 basic Lightning-type Pokemon and put them onto your bench. And this ability does stack, so when it comes to, using Miraidon's ability, you can grab another Miraidon, to which you can use that Miraidon's ability, and set up great. And you also have Photon Blaster, which does 220 damage, and during your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack. It's kind of lackluster in terms of other attackers that you may have, but it is an option if you need it. We are also playing Raikou V. Raikou V can be searched out, and it has the fleet-footed ability. Once during your turn, if it's in the active spot, you may draw a card, and then Lightning Rondo does 20 plus 20 for each of your bench Pokemon and your opponent's bench Pokemon. So this means that for 2 energy, you can max out at 220 damage. We are also playing the one of Zapdos with Lightning Symbol just to help hit extra numbers. For instance, with Raichu V, as we see right here, has the Dynamic Spark. This does 60 times the amount of lightning energy you discard from your Pokemon. So this means that with the Zapdos, you can discard 5 and KO something like Mew VMAX or Mew or Gardevoir EX. And means that you don't have to discard an extra energy, which makes things nice. And we are also running Flaaffy for some energy acceleration. Squawkabilly just for more dig potential if you do go first or second if you're trying to take a donk. And we are running the key aspect of the deck and what makes it work, Electric Generator. You look at the top 5 cards of your deck, attach up to 2 lightning energy you find there to your bench lightning type Pokemon, then shuffle your deck. So this means that you have the chance to have 8 energy in play by turn 2 or turn 1 if you go second. If you hit all your generators, use them all and hit 2. So paired with this is Path to the Peak. You might be confused as to why Path is in here because our deck revolves around abilities, but it's usually only abilities for the beginning of the game. So later in the game, you don't really have too many abilities, and Flaaffy with Dynamotor is not a rule box Pokemon, so it doesn't get shut off. So in conjunction with Path, you are running Iono, and you are also running Judge. And on top of that, there are 13 electric type energy. So this deck is really fun, it's really interesting, really intriguing, and it's super easy to learn. So as you guys know, the deck list will be popping up right now on screen just so you guys have a full view of it, and in the description will be the typed out list so that way you guys can copy and paste it into Pokemon Trading Card Game Live. As always, I want to thank you guys for the constant support. I'm sorry for no upload on Friday or Monday, which was yesterday. We had my dad's celebration of life on Sunday, and so leading up to that and the day after, I just wanted to be surrounded by my family and friends celebrating my dad, and I just kind of took a break for those couple of days. It was much needed. I didn't even do schoolwork, so it was a very relaxing and eventful time with everyone. Lots of tears, lots of laughter, lots of smiles, everything that we needed it to be. So with that being said, guys, I want to thank you for everything. If you guys are new here, you know what to do. Smash the like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications, enjoy the gameplay. Let me know in the comments if you guys have any questions. But other than that, again, thank you for everything, and I will catch you guys in the gameplay. Later. Alrighty. So, we're finally back into playing some Pokemon. We're going to see exactly what we can do. This opening hand actually isn't too bad, and we are going second, and we do have a free retreater with Mew. So depending on what we play against, we actually might be able to get a donk going. I don't hate that, and it looks like we're playing the mirror. So if my opponent ends up promoting something like a Raikou and filling their bench, we actually might be able to take the initiative and actually take a big knockout, which I don't hate the idea of doing. Again, it all really just comes down to, if they decide to play it smart and retreat, and if they do, then, we're going to have to play to our outs there, which I think on their end, they probably don't think or realize that I'm playing something like, you know, the mirror, because I didn't bench Mareep, I didn't do any of that, so promoting the Raikou for them could be beneficial as they get the extra draw. And they are playing the Magnezone variant, so let's see how this goes. So there's the 4 Sealstone. And honestly, the other thing, though... Oh, is benching Mareep even, like, worth it? I think it's worth it only if they use their V-Star. If they use their V-Star, then we're in a good spot. Okay, so the Charm is going to make things a little awkward because we have no way to actually one-shot the Raikou. So if I can top deck something like a Generator and then maybe hit Boss, that would be good. It just really comes down to how everything goes. And my opponent plays Path, which actually kind of screws me up too. Oh, that's rough. Okay, so I need to counter this Path so that way I can use my abilities. And then I need to try to figure out the best way to go about my turn. Do I have to play Path? I'm not too sure I do, actually. Because I can Ultra Ball, get rid of my own Path. No, I have to get rid of this Path. So, if I get rid of these two, right? And then I go into, say, Raikou. Then I can go Raikou, 4 Sealstone, Nest Ball. Nest Ball can grab Miraidon. And then we'll play the Research. And then if I have to grab the extra energy, I can do that. So we have Flying Pikachu. That's a good free retreat pivot if we need it. But I don't think it's going to do too much. Honestly, I think I'm going to have to sack off the Zapdos. It's just so awkward because I don't play Beach Court. Let's see. So if I go Star Alchemy and we get rid of the Path by playing Collapsed, we lock my opponent. So am I really going to need this Mew right now? I don't think I'm going to. So what I can do, technically, my opponent has to try and set up a Miraidon in order to benefit off of what they need. So I'm pretty sure I'm okay with using Tandem Unit to grab another Raikou. And then what we'll do is retreat. We'll go into this Raikou because if I get an energy next turn, I have the Flaaffy. So there's the energy, so I can still attach retreat. And then we're still in a good spot, and I have Boss, which means that if my opponent counters Collapsed, we have stuff to bench, we have the Flaaffy, and then we can take extra prizes too. As long as my opponent doesn't find a way to get 2 prizes here, we should be okay. Because really the prize map that we're going to be going for is just trying to do as much as possible. But I think the opening that I had, that was kind of the best way I could go about it. Because now my opponent has to hit a Generator plus Flaaffy plus an energy, or hit 2 on a Generator in order to KO Raikou, so I think I'm kind of in the best spot I could be. And the Beach Court helps even more, actually. So, providing my opponent fills their bench, which they are right now with Tandem Unit, that means that we can hit 220 to take a knockout. So my prize map will probably honestly be Raikou. And my opponent's playing the Thundurus too, so it's probably going to be Raikou Miraidon into Magnezone. It's probably going to be the best way for me to play it. It's going to be awkward because my opponent's going to be able to get some prizes, but they can take a knockout here, but they do have to try and set up a Miraidon in order to take a knockout. And I actually might be able to benefit off of something else. So if my opponent hits 2 here, I'm gonna be sad. Let's see. My opponent is potentially going for the setup, so going into the Raikou, that's fine. And there's the Lightning Rondo for 200, so they do still have access to using the Star Alchemy. Or not Star Alchemy, I'm sorry. Yeah, Star Alchemy with the Forest Seal Stone, so we do have the free retreat pivot with Mew. And we do have Arven, so Arven can actually help us to set up some more of what we need. So I think what we'll do... let's see. We'll get Miraidon, and I don't want my opponent to be able to KO a Mareep, so I honestly think 2 Miraidons is the best bet for me. And then we can attach... We have access to Arven, which means that now we can grab the Bravery Charm, and then we can also grab Generator. Which means we can go... Let's see. My opponent's probably going to go for the knockout on Mew. So let's do this. We'll go Flaaffy first, and then we'll use Flaaffy with Dynamotor. So we'll put 1 onto the Raikou. So we're hitting enough to knockout. So we'll retreat into the Raikou, and then fleet-footed, just in case we hit another Bravery Charm, then we can put it on the Mew. But unfortunately we don't. I think my best bet, honestly, is to Bravery Charm this Raikou, and then we'll use Generator. We do hit 2, which is good. So we'll put 1 on each Miraidon, because now if I hit something like Flaaffy, or an Energy, I can Energy Flaaffy Miraidon, so I'm still good with that. And then we can use Lightning Rondo for 220, take a knockout here, and then we still have access to Boss in order to take a knockout next turn. And we have access to another Generator, and even Iono if we need to. Providing my opponent doesn't take a knockout here, we can go to 2 prizes, and then we just have to get 2 more. And it's only going to be awkward in the sense that if my opponent gets down something like a second Bravery Charm. Otherwise, we should be okay. So we'll have to see exactly how this goes. So my opponent fails to search with Miraidon, which, you know, initiates that they don't have quite enough. And I also forgot to mention that Raichu is prized, so we do have a chance to hit Raichu as well, which means if we do that, we do have the ability to actually kind of set up how we need to. And providing that, let's see, so my opponent's going for a Miraidon swing this turn, I'm going to guess. So they hit 1 energy. Oh, my eye. Something in my eye. There's the fleet-footed. So I'm not too sure what their, you know, goal is. I can see swinging with Miraidon. So they are going to go for the Miraidon swing, which makes sense. They're not going to be able to KO, though, as they can only hit 220. And our Raikou won't be able to KO either, but because of Beach Court, we do have the free retreat into Miraidon, as well as the energy, so unless my opponent plays something like Vacuum and then tries to take a 4-prize turn, we'll be in trouble, but considering the fact that they're using, you know, Magnezone right now, we should be okay. And if they decide to go Boss onto Flaaffy, I'm completely okay with that. I don't think that that's the best play. They could potentially take prizes with Mew. But, okay, so there's a Research. Getting rid of Nest Ball and Research. Or, sorry, Nest Ball and Flaaffy. And there is the pesky card that I was worried about. There's the Bravery Charm. And there's Tandem Unit. So if my opponent gets another 2-prizer, okay, so they don't. The only issue that I can run into is if they do play something like the annoying card. So, okay, I need to think about the best way to go about this. Because If I can hit a switch cart, I'll be in a good spot. Let's see. So the first thing I have to do is fleet-footed. And I do hit the switch cart, which is perfect because now I can boss KO this Miraidon. And then go from there. So, let's see. We'll attach. We'll go Flaaffy with Dynamotor. Which means now we can go here onto the Miraidon. And considering that my opponent used their ability, we should be okay. The only issue is that Splitting Beam does do 90 and then 30-30. So they can potentially take 3 prizes. But I should be okay. So what we'll do is Generator. We do hit 2. This means that we can go 2 and then 1. And then now I just need to hope that my opponent doesn't set up this Magnezone and have boss, because if they do, they'll take 3 prizes. So I'm going to switch cart into Miraidon. Now I'm at 190, so that means if my opponent uses Vacuum, this Raikou doesn't die. The only way that it dies is if they use the Splitting Beam, in which case they can take 3 prizes. But if they don't evolve this Magnezone, we are in a fantastic spot, because then it means that we can just get a KO on this Magnezone. So we'll go boss's orders. We'll bring up the Miraidon. And then we'll go Photon Blaster, 220. Take 2 prizes. And if we hit something like the Raichu, even if we get KO'd and we do... With the Raichu now, we pretty much have the win on board. I know that we have at least 1 energy in the deck. I mean, there's 14 energy. We've seen 3, 6, 7, 8. So, sorry, 13 energy. So there's 5 left. 5 out of 22 is almost 25%. So almost 25% of our deck is what we need. So it's definitely not bad. It is going to be awkward, though, because my opponent can take a knockout with Miraidon, so I need to actually find a boss's orders. So if my opponent judges me into the boss, we're good. We do play 3, so... Now it's going to come down to thinning, doing everything we can. Okay, so this is going to be the awkward part. So my opponent's going to be able to take a prize here. And... Oh, man. Yeah, this mirror is really awkward because we need to do as much as possible. Thankfully, we do have the chance to Iono. And we do get Raichu. I actually think Raichu might just win us the game here. Let's see, 60x, so I get 2. Yeah, so having the Raichu, we win the game. We can use the Flaaffy with Dynamotor. Can retreat into the Raichu, and then use the Dynamic Spark. All we have to do is discard 5 energy, but just to be safe, we will discard all of them. I completely forgot that Raichu was a win con. So, doing 420, able to take the last 2 prizes. The one turn that we actually had the Charm on Raikou, not allowing my opponent to actually get a KO, was huge. And I'm kind of glad that we had Raichu because we had 2 bosses orders prize, so that was definitely huge. So that game went well. The mirror definitely is scary. It's very 50-50, and if you trade blows, usually whoever gets the first blow wins. Otherwise, you know, if you can buy yourself a turn where you can get ahead on prizes, you'll usually win. So that was the very first game. Let's hop right into a second game and see if we can do the same exact thing. Alrighty, guys. So let's get into the second game. I'm going to opt to go first just because it does give me the chance to actually progress my setup and get things down like a turn 2 Flaaffy. I really don't mind going second, but when I usually have the option to, I am okay with going first. It's kind of like the same philosophy with Mew, with Fusion Mew. You don't mind going second because you do have, you know, the big damage potential. But usually you'll go first just because it gives you an extra turn. And, you know, it means that you can get some evolutions out in this sense. And looking at this start, it's basically the same exact start we had last game. So, see exactly what my opponent is playing here. Hopefully it's not another mirror, just because that is scary. We're actually playing against Banette. So Banette shouldn't be too bad, I want to say. It's definitely awkward, but it's definitely not the worst. So we'll go Ultra Ball, and we'll get rid of the Super Rod, and I'm not going to be able to play items, so I kind of need to get as much going as I can. And we do have access to the Squawk, and we do have access to things like the Raichu. Those are really going to be the big cards in trying to, ensure that we can get as much going as possible. So, let's see. So we'll Tandem Unit, we'll grab Raikou, and then we can also grab another Miraidon. We can retreat, attach. We'll use the Mew just because it does allow us to draw one more card. We get another Mareep. So we'll use Tandem Unit now. And honestly, I think we're just going to go for the Raichu plays. Raichu's going to be one of the most important cards because it will allow us to streamline knockouts. And we actually do get boss's orders as well, which is huge. So considering the fact that we do have some extra cards we can work with next turn, because we're not going to be item locked until the next turn. That's pretty good on my end. And if my opponent misplays and only gets one shot put out, they are going to get knocked out. So next turn is going to be about getting the Flaaffy out, kind of going about everything that we need to, and honestly just charging up so that we can get some big attacks going, because we're not going to have access to generators, we're not going to have access to really anything, so it's going to be super awkward. And thankfully, a lot like Baxcalibur, we can actually attack with everything in the deck, so. And the neat thing is that Mew actually allows us to, set up some more if we need to. And my opponent goes Iono. I'm completely fine with that. There's no real abilities we need to worry about now. It's all just going to come down to playing every card that we have the out to, so. And we actually drew 2 generators as well, so we can build up the board how we need to. We have access to Flaaffy. So all of this is looking exactly how we need it to. The only thing that could have been a little bit better would have been if we went into Raichu last turn and used Fast Charge, but aside from that, I mean, it's not too bad. We're going to get item lock next turn, but, it's not bad. So we'll evolve into the Flaaffy. We have access to Generator. Unfortunately, Generator does whiff, but all is well. We have another Generator whiff. Okay, now this might be a little bit scary. So we'll go Research. So we'll go Ultra Ball, and we'll get rid of the Energy and Escape Rope. Nothing we really are going to Ultra Ball for. I guess maybe the Zapdos just to kind of help, but we'll go Dynamotor, put one on Raichu, then we'll go Generator. Generator does finally hit, which is nice, so we can go attach to Miraidon, and we'll go attach to Miraidon, and we'll attach to the Raikou. I don't even know why I was debating that. And then we'll hit the Lightning Rondo for 180. Allows us to take a single prize, and thankfully next turn we do have access to, some supporters, which isn't bad. It's really just going to come down to what my opponent does. I could have put an energy on Flaaffy, but I don't think I really needed it. One energy on Flaaffy, actually, I'm wrong. One energy on Flaaffy would have been smart, because then, if I drew another energy, I could have retreated into something like Raikou and had the energy in the discard to use Flaaffy and just keep powering itself through. That way I can consistently try to retreat. Otherwise, though, I think everything's kind of okay. So my opponent grabs Fog Crystal. I wasn't sure what the other card was. There's the Fog. My opponent is going to be able to item lock us, but I don't think it's going to do too much. Honestly, my opponent, is going to be able to item lock and hit 30, but there's not enough that they're going to be able to do, if that makes sense. They can use Poltergeist, and Poltergeist can be annoying as they can hit for 200. But if they go Poltergeist, then that means that we have access to, you know, setting up more of how we want to. So, honestly, so that way I don't draw into these items or supporters or trainers, we'll just go by Iono. And this hand is not any better. Definitely is awkward. We do have access to the Forest Seal Stone, though, which is good. So we can potentially get rid of the Path to the Peak. So I think what we'll do here is just Lightning Rondo. My opponent wants to Poltergeist. They give us access to dwindling our hand, so that way Poltergeist doesn't do anymore. Otherwise, no, we are okay. Path doesn't really hurt us in the late game, because we do have the ability to kind of do what we need to, so I'm not really hating where all of this is going. We do have access to boss later in the game. So honestly, it's just going to be KOing 2 Banettes and then going for a 1 prizer. So there's a Fog Crystal again. There's the Shadow Calyrex. Calyrex, not really going to do too much. I mean, yeah, my opponent can stop us from, you know, playing stadiums or special energy, but that's honestly not enough for them to really benefit from it. And if this Raikou can take a knockout here, then honestly we just go Raichu into Raikou. So okay, there's a Cheryl. So Cheryl is a little bit annoying, but it's not the end of the world by any means. And my opponent, the more energy that they go through, the better. So there's an Ultra Ball. And the nice thing is that my opponent, because I know this list, my opponent is only going to have access to 2 Cheryl. So they've already used 1. But it's not going to do enough for them. And considering the fact that Path is in play, they can't use Alakazam to actually move damage around. So we are in the best spot that, you know, we could ask to be in. And we do get another Lightning Energy. So we'll just put the Lightning Energy onto Flaaffy. And again, we do have access to Raichu. So we're just going to hit 220 and just keep attacking. We could have gone boss and actually KO'd the Calyrex, which probably would have been better, but it's not the end of the world. Honestly, what I think our game plan is, if my opponent doesn't Cheryl again, we'll just go for a knockout here, and then we should be fine. Now, looking at my opponent grabbing the Psychic, they're probably going to go for a Poltergeist, which, if they do, that opens up any items that we need. And we can take a knockout, and then again, it's just another knockout in terms of going for the Calyrex, so. And actually, okay, that's fine. There's the Psychic onto Shuppet. There's the Everlasting Darkness. Again, that's fine. I'm just going to use Raichu to grab an energy. Or we get the energy anyways, so that's even better. So we'll just go here. We'll go Retreat into the Raikou. We'll use the Flaaffy for Dynamotor. Put the energy onto Flaaffy. And then we'll use Lightning Rondo for 220. And then next turn we can actually go Boss into Calyrex and then Boss into a 1 prizer. Or we can potentially use Raichu. Either way though, everything's kind of going how we need to. And we only have 1 energy in the discard, so, you know, the cycle of going through Flaaffies is probably going to be how we do it, so. And considering the fact that my opponent, you know, does have 250, going for the Raichu play is probably going to be the most dominant one that we could go for, so. I don't hate the idea of that. So we have the Attach and then Dynamotor, and then there's 5 energy on board. It's going to be a little bit risky not having any energy on board, but if my opponent can't item lock, we're going to be good. So And if my opponent decides to go for Poltergeist here, that's even better. So there's the Gardevoir EX. There's Iono. Again, Iono doesn't really bother me because I do have Forest Seal Stone, so. And this hand, if my opponent goes Poltergeist, I'm completely fine with that. Honestly, though, I think I'm just going to go Boss. We do have access to Arven if we need it, but a Boss KO is probably just going to be, you know, where we're at. Actually, you know what? To kind of put my opponent in an awkward spot, I think this is what I do. We attach to the Raichu, and then if I go Boss KO on this Ralts, my opponent's at 2, and then they have to choose between going for the Raikou or the Raichu. Raichu will be able to take a KO regardless. So honestly, I don't hate a boss play right here. Especially then because Iono doesn't really bother me too much. So we'll use Star Alchemy. Actually, you know what? I don't know why I'm worrying so much. If I just retreat and go into Raichu, we're in a super good spot. Because I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4... I'll have 5 energy and I can take a knockout. My opponent can't item lock anymore, so I actually don't hate that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's kind of how I do this. So we'll use Dynamic Spark. And we'll go for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And my opponent can't item lock now because they don't have another Banette down. So no matter what they go into, we're in a good spot. And if they decide to, you know, power up something like Calyrex, it can only deal 50, so Flaaffy's not getting KO'd. So I don't think that there's a way that they can really do anything here. And they can't Gardevoir because Path to the Peak is in play. So honestly, I don't think that my opponent wins here, like, at all. The only way that they win is if they get rid of the Path to the Peak, which I know that the list plays, you know, other stadiums aside from Path to the Peak. So it's definitely not, you know, over, but providing that my opponent doesn't have a counter stadium, we should be good to go. So there's the Calamitous Wasteland, which is fine. We have a 2 retreat cost now, but I believe, let's see. I might have 1 escape rope left, actually. So I'll probably have to Arven for the escape rope. And in that case, everything that I have is able to knock out. So we'll just go Flaaffy onto Raikou, attach to Raikou, Arven, grab the escape rope, and then we'll be good. And if worst comes to worst, we can always take a turn, so. Okay, so my opponent's going to go into the Calyrex now. This makes things a little bit more interesting. But they do have to damage themselves. Oh, they're just going to go for a knock for 190 with Raichu? Mouse is in the background. So, honestly, I'm not too sure what they're going for here. Interesting. They just misplayed super heavy. I don't think my opponent knows too much of what they're doing. They can take 2 prizes, but then... Huh, okay. Like, I see my opponent's goal. But I don't think it's really gonna work out how they want it to. So they copy the attack, which is fine. So we go Mew. We get the research, which is good. The research I needed, so we go Tandem Unit. Tandem Unit can grab the Raikou. And honestly, I just need to hit one of my 4 stadiums or the escape rope, and I win. The only thing that my opponent could go into that could be awkward is Gardevoir, so I kind of hope that my out isn't the escape rope. But we do have generator and stuff too, which is good, so it's definitely not over. So we'll go Dynamotor. We'll go here. And it might be weird. Let's see. I don't have any way to search my deck right now. But let's see. I've used 2 generators. Yeah, I kind of just have to hope that I can find the out to it. So we'll go research. And we draw the path to the peak, so we just win here. So we go path to the peak, and then retreat, go into the Raikou, and then Lightning Rondo for 220. The only thing that I was thinking of doing was potentially, you know, attaching to the active in case I didn't hit the counter stadium, but I only have one. I only had 1 generator left, so I think that pretty much sums up the way Raikou goes. You know, it's a hard-hitting deck. It's not too hard to play. It's, you know, electric energy, go burr, and then depending on what is in front of you, you can attack with Miraidon, you can attack with Raikou, you can attack with Raichu, so everything kind of works out. So if you guys did enjoy today's video, do me a favor, smash the like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Otherwise, I will catch you guys in tomorrow's video. Later.